Welcome to the Main Stage Cast, a podcast about all things competitive Call of Duty, hosted by me, Nate Burleson, and Alex Friel. First thing we want to talk about today, we're going to get into a lot of stuff. We got the Kickoff Classic coming up this weekend. We had the Challengers Cup 4 from the last weekend. A few new substitutes, things like that. But the first thing we wanted to talk about was the retirement of the pro Zooma. So someone who we've been watching for as long as we've been watching COD.
Yeah, he had a hand injury. I think it was, what year was that? BO3 or
Yeah, a
IW?
few
It was a
years
while
back.
ago, and he got it looked at by doctors and got surgery, but the injury has returned, so he said he cannot play Call of Duty at his highest level. So he's out. And it's really unfortunate because I was really excited, especially with the Kickoff Classic this weekend. I really was
hmm
looking forward to seeing that New York team play against Dallas. I've been really excited about that, but I think Diamond Khan is stepping in
Yeah.
place for him. But yeah, really
I'm pretty
sad
sure that
news.
roster would be like, what, Diamond Com, Asim, Clay, and Mac, right? All right. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's really sad to see Zuma go. Hopefully, it's not permanent. Hopefully, if he still feels like he can compete in maybe a year or two of rehab and everything, maybe. It's not, the door's not completely shut. It's not like other cases that we've seen with retirements. But man, I love Zuma. I loved watching him play. I loved his play style, his like annoying nuisance of running around on hard points and searches, playing with some of the craziest plays and some of the craziest routes all came from Zuma, and some of the most memorable teams too.
Yeah, even since Ghost, everyone, you'd be playing S&D and someone be hitting the
Yeah.
Zuma flank. That was his signature play style. Everyone knows him for that. He is like he's the biggest flanker
hmm
of all time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. One of the best
Yeah.
S&D players of all time, best SMGs of all time.
Yeah. Definitely like top five SMG of all time, and I don't want to get too into the rankings, but he's up there. He's one of the best. He's one of the best subs we've ever seen, and he's gonna live in a lot of pros hearts going forward because everybody knows the flank is called like the Zuma flank. You think about it. You think about Zuma when you think about a flank, which not many players have like a part of like a general like essence of the game like named after them or thought about them when it comes to that. Like Zuma has flanks and he'll always have that. But he's been on some amazing teams in the past. He's won a lot of tournaments. He's consistently placed in top teams. And everybody seems to like teaming with him too. He seems like a guy everybody likes to be around.
Yeah, well, that's a thing. He is a great player, but outside of the game, he is just as awesome. And he's definitely one of the funniest guys
Yeah.
that's been in the league and been around the scene. He's got his accent. He's from
hmm
Jersey. He's Italian, the Italian stallion. It's too funny. My favorite clip of all time from it was BO3 phase. They were pretty bad at BO3. I'm
hmm
not gonna lie, they weren't that good, but and they would get frustrated. There's this one clip where Clay walked off the map like two times in a map, and Zuma's like, "Bro, why do you keep walking off the map, bro?" And Clay just like freaks out. He's like, "Bro, like you act like I'm trying," and they just like, I don't know, man. It's just times like that, like it's
One
too
of my
funny.
favorite clips, not COD related, was when he was on that King of the Hill show and just talking all the shit to the e-girls who were on it, saying like he got on and defends scraps, saying like tells one of the girls that she has an accident too, she can't be talking, and she gets all mad, and he just they said it was his greatest 1v. He said it was the first 1v5 in Call of Duty history.
Oh, all right, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. That's so sad,
hmm
But when there's sad things, you just gotta appreciate the good times instead of being
hmm
sad. And he has a great future ahead. I don't know what's coming next for him. I'm sure we'll find out, but I'm sure he'll be involved in the COD
hmm
scene still. But I was thinking he would make a really good like just
Yeah.
chatting streamer. Like if he was just sitting there talking and just
hmm
reacting to things, I'm
Yeah,
sure he would blow
yeah.
up. He's
I
a
hope he
great
gets
guy,
to do
funny guy.
something like that. I'm interested to see what he's gonna do because I don't think he's gonna be gone from the scene. He'll be around making content, talking it up on Twitter. Um, I mean, he's really just a great guy, great person to like watch play, great person to hear in interviews, streams. And he's played a pretty important role in Call of Duty history. He was on FaZe for 4 years, And then I think it's really cool that he was able to rep New York. He mentions it in his in some of the tweets he had yesterday, but he really did get to rep New York, and I feel like that's an awesome thing for him to do at the end of his career. And I mean, he
Yeah.
won a bunch of tournaments too. Let's see here. I have his place, all his LAN wins here. He
Yeah.
won the Pro League playoffs in World War II. He won the Pro League Stage 1, but I think that was just Stage 1. It wasn't like the tournament. UMG Dallas 2014, UMG Dallas 2015, Gfinity 2015, MLG Pro League Season 3 playoffs, which is one of my favorite tournaments he ever played. It was when FaZe went and beat Optic 4-1, 4-1 in the grand finals. I mean, just to beat that Optic team and Scump, and that was Scump, Krim, Formal, and Karma. That was one of the first like major tournaments that they played, and to go and beat them like they did was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, that rivalry in AW was that whole rivalry. I swear it was like every tournament it was like those two teams that were always in the
finals. You can't have
finals.
COD history without Optic versus FaZe, and he played such a huge role in that.
Nah, dude, remember like when you're a kid and everyone just wants to be in FaZe or Optic, and then finally you get a match where it's like holy shit, it's FaZe versus Optic. Like I couldn't believe it took us so long at MW to get the Huntsman versus FaZe match, because when you think about every tournament in the past, like there was always the FaZe versus Optic, bro. Back in like literally every COD up until like the recent ones, I feel like we always saw that matchup. And that's when viewership
I feel like viewership was always peaked when it was FaZe Optic, or Optic in any finals, or FaZe Optic whenever they played Krim at different times throughout the career. But yeah, I mean, it's just amazing to watch Attach play, and or watch Zooma play. I was trying to mean the duo of Zooma and Attach. Zooma and Attach, like they were really fun to watch together. They were two players who were like just extremely like they played together extremely well, and you could see it every time they really played.
Yeah, I mean they played together they were on Denial together in AW, and then Zooma went to Envy, and then they ended up meeting back again on FaZe, and then they played all the way up until BO4 when Attach didn't play with them, because I think he was on EG for a little bit of BO4, but it's crazy, like that's like so many years of Call of Duty like with one guy, and then they played together again for New York. Like that's
just
crazy.
Reading like just scrolling
like
through his Codpedia, I see it.
This was going to be the first game they wouldn't even play together.
I mean, so I guess you could say he retired without ever playing an official match without Attach since early 2015. Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, that's one of the great duos of all time. If you talk about duos, you got to mention them.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, it's like Time to Pound, Attach, Zooma.
Twins.
Yeah. I saw a rankings video one time, and it was like the best duos like in Call of Duty of all time, and some of them were just like weird, and I was like, do people think about these guys?
People
like,
who like happen to be on the same team for a long time. Like, yeah, it doesn't necessarily make a duo.
Yeah, it was like really. Yeah, they didn't have like Sharp or Goon. They didn't have like, the good duos. They had like weird ones.
Yo, Tommy, we gotta go.
That is like that literally. All of 2020, that's like all I said.
Love
that commercial was hilarious. It was like, people find memes in anything these days, and it just was like, they could have picked anything to make them meme. But I don't know who like made that commercial or directed that, but they went, you gotta tell them, yo, Tommy, we gotta go, and like hold up a game field. That was that's incredible filmmaking right there.
All those ads, like the Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel, G Fuel, all those ads are always like kind of cheesy when it's gamers, and like you're not expecting these guys to be amazing actors, which is why it's just funny, and like it's honestly better for selling the product.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll pour out a Game Fuel today. Maybe I'll go to 7-Eleven, pick up a Game Fuel, just pour it out on the sidewalk, pour one out for my man. That might be
All right. Yeah. All right. This past weekend, we there was the 4th Challengers Cup, and guess who won again?
Wester, really?
Wester. They 3-0'd again, 12-0 in the grand finals. I literally haven't lost a series in Challengers yet. I don't really think it matters what other teams do at this point. We saw the NYSL Academy team get to the,
Hmm.
they were making plays. Saints was clutching up. They were all playing well.
Yeah.
Who else is on that? Diamond Con, Pro Loot, and I forget who's on that right now. But they played well. They put up a good fight. But this week didn't seem as close as last week's
Mm-mm.
grand finals. Like Wester, just after going 3-0, I
Well,
just don't think they
Wester
could be
did get pushed a
stopped.
little bit by Built by Gamers, right? It was like a 3-1 or 3-2, but like all I know
Yeah,
is that it was a pretty tight series, like for the most part. They got pushed a little bit, but I mean, when it's said and done, like if they're in the finals, I mean, you can't bet on challengers, but if you could, I'd be making a lot of money because that team's ridiculous.
yeah,
And like, I mean,
yeah. I think it would be dumb to bet
I
against
don't
them
know
at
how
this
any of
point.
those players haven't been picked up as a substitute. Like Venom and Paul X, they're amazing. Like Venom is probably the best sub in challengers, and then Paul X is a good flex. I mean, I get
Yeah,
like teams don't want to pick up too many subs. Like you really don't need more than one sub if you feel like your core four was solid enough. But I mean, maybe they've also turned down offers. We don't really know. Like they might not want to be a sub. They might just want to compete with Wester, build what they're building. Because I mean, I've heard rumors that they were offered a spot at the Paris or something like that, and they told Paris no. Like they want to be treated right. They want to be making more than the minimum, which I mean I understand. But like I mean that's just a rumor. I don't
yeah.
know if that's
I mean,
true, but that's just a rumor I've been seeing floating around on Reddit, which is not the best source, but still.
well, I mean, if they're smart, and this is what they really want to do, they'll take their time. They'll do it right. They
They're
all
young
know they're
too.
good players, but I think what's more important is that they're all
Hmm.
good players together. So I think that's probably a priority to them right now in their lives if they're like all financially stable. Hey, they've all won
They
2K
they
each
should be
off of
making some
these
good money.
Challengers
Yeah.
Cups now. So, yeah. So, I think they'll figure it out. They seem like the Wester brand is
It
growing. It's
is.
becoming more of
Hmm.
like a,
They're doing a really good
weren't they
job.
baby phase the first tournament
Yeah.
before they were
Hmm.
Wester? Yeah. So they're already working on their own branding. They're staying relevant
Hmm.
every weekend. Everyone's always talking about is Paul X cheating, blah blah blah.
When you're so good that people think you're like people are trying to like form opinions that you're cheating, form a narrative that you're cheating. It's kind of crazy. Like that's you got to pat yourself on the back a little bit if you're that good. It was like Awakening last year. People just assume he's cheating because he's that nasty. But like, I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
Subliners Academy, Diamond Con, Pro Loot, Saints, Spart.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good team.
Mm-hmm.
Spart's nasty. Diamond Con, nasty. Pro Loot, all
Mm.
right. Saints, all right. Shout out Saints.
shout,
That's
shout
that's
out
the
Nato.
homie. Shout out Nato the goat. Built by gamers. Kismet got her X Pander. Pentagram got third. Pretty good teams. But if those teams can't even get, no one's literally gotten close to
Mm-hmm.
beating Leicester. It feels like now. I just couldn't. Looking at all these rosters, I couldn't even tell you a team that I think
Yeah, and I
would.
mean BBG. Like I said last week, they needed to improve, and they did. They stepped up from placing top 16 to running it up to third when they probably should have been in the grand finals. I mean they played they choked the hard point to Wester. I think in the winners finals, I think it was. They choked the hard point, lose the S&D pretty tight, and then the control was also pretty tight. I mean they said I think GodRX tweeted something saying he lost full. I think that's just kind of how it went for him. It was one of those days, one of those series that kind of breaks their morale. Like that's what Wester can do though, is that they break a lot of teams by coming back from 50, 60 point deficits on hardpoint, 2-1s on control,
Just
you know,
frying,
like
yeah, just
winning
frying at the
winning
same time.
offenses on control with ease as easily as they win defenses. I mean, they break teams. They really do. Like they get to S&Ds, clutch up all their 1v1s, things like that. Just like those plays really set apart teams and challengers.
Yeah, I mean, the one of the saddest things of the weekend I think was friendship teams, since our fame being super, they placed top
Mhm.
64.
It
Feels
happens.
bad, Sensor still the goat,
What's
still
his
the
new
goat.
team?
Yeah, a lot of drop-offs.
Mm.
LAG Academy, they placed top 32 this time after being top 8 last week. Like,
Yeah, that happens. The
you
Ping
know,
crew, Jared, Dens, Goon, and Zed, they might need to make some changes.
hey, fun fact, Jared follows me on my other
Really?
Twitter.
Hey, that's pretty
So
solid.
Yeah, I did a follow five back in the day. Back in Ghost, there was a follow five, and I followed the person, so I
That's
got to
pretty
follow.
solid.
I think the next challenge is not for like
Right.
2 weeks, right? It's like
I'm pretty sure it's
starting.
the week
So
before the opening weekend of the studio. If I'm right.
so so teams will have a little
Mhm.
bit of time to like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be roster drama already. We've already
Mhm.
seen some things. We've seen Haggis playing with Aches, Lakesfield, and Mox, and so I think it'll be interesting to see if teams try to take this time and it's like, hey, we lost, but like let's
Mhm.
stick together and improve. That's like the best way to do it. Or if there will be a lot of like switching
Yeah.
up team, like Haggy will like implode mid scrim and leave the
Well.
team and tweet about it. I think it'll be
Mhm.
interesting to see if
Well,
anything like
yeah, I
that
mean, it's
happens.
also like easier now to stick with the team, but it's also easier to drop your team right after like a bad performance in that last Challengers Cup, and then to
Yeah.
have a few weeks to scrim. And if you can actually like have a few weeks to scrim rather than like 2 or 3 days, you can learn a whole lot more about your team. And I think we might see a more competitive overall Challengers Cup. I'm not sure if anyone's going to beat Wester, but we might see a more competitive overall like challengers. It could work. It could work in a lot of teams' favors.
Yeah. Well, this weekend though,
Yes,
we get the Kickoff
the
Classic.
big boys.
Finally, some
Yep.
action. I have been looking forward to seeing some
Mm-hmm.
actual matches for
Those
quite some
champs, to be
time now.
honest.
I Champs was Champs in
Yeah,
August.
it was like August 30th was like the champs Sunday, something like that. Yeah.
Oh my God. So it's been damn near like, oh my God, how many months would that be now? Like
Too
almost
many. I mean,
5?
it's gonna be almost by the time they play
Is that
official,
like,
like their first matches. I think it'll all be like 5.5, almost 6. Kind of crazy.
yeah, this off season has been just crazy long. And so, that's a
Mm-hmm.
whole other topic, but that is, we've
We've
been
been
waiting
waiting a
too long,
long
man.
time.
Saturday, Dallas Empire versus Subliners to kick off the
Mm-hmm.
day. Then you got LAG versus Seattle Surge. Then to end the day, Atlanta FaZe, Florida Mutineers, right? Then Sunday, you got Royal Ravens
Mm-hmm.
versus Paris, Ultra versus Roker, and then Optic versus Thieves. And also, I'm not sure if it's before or after the
Before.
Optic versus Thieves match, but it's before that they're doing the picking for the groups
Yes.
for, and I tried to read that and learn all the details. So is that just for the first major or is that for like the
No,
league
it's for the
season?
first stage, which would be the 3 weeks leading up to the first major. So the 3 weeks
Okay.
of like group matches leading up to the first. I'm pretty sure. I wanted to read that. I think I kind of understand it, but
Yeah. So Dallas
yeah.
picks first. So like, and then
Well,
FaZe picks second, and it's a snake
Does
draft.
Dallas
So
pick
like,
someone to be in phase groups? Phases group? Yeah, that's what I thought.
yes, yes. So like Dallas would be like, all right, let's send Optic to FaZe group, and then FaZe could be like, all right, let's send like Thieves and let's send
Mm-hmm.
like Florida. It's snakes, so then it's like two. So it's like they're
Mm.
picking eights, but for the other team. So that'll be interesting to see, like, if FaZe thinks a certain team matches up better against Empire and they'd pick them before a different
Yeah.
team, or they'd try to get them, like, if some
Right.
team's not going to be playing from Texas and they want to, like, try to get some other host
Mm-hmm.
against
It
Empire,
could
like,
be
that would be
interesting to see
interesting.
like who's wrong about a team they put in another bracket. Like like who gets
Yeah. Ah,
disrespected,
dude, they're gonna,
and
they're
then
gonna, they're gonna,
someone's.
oh, dude, they're gonna sleep on Paris. Paris is gonna end up
I hope we
dethroning
see
the
some weird
champs.
picks. Like I hope we see someone putting like picking like Paris super early, picking like LAG super early, something like that. Like I just want to see some weird picks like that.
Just to
Yeah.
throw them
Like
off. Yeah.
who has the hot takes?
Well, well, it'll be interesting because I'm not like, it's not going to be pre-recorded like how Champs was,
It
or is it?
might be.
I mean, I don't think we know, but if it's so, like, if Empire and FaZe like had a chance to see like how every team played prior to the Optic Thieves match, and then could like literally, like, what if we see a team that stands out more
Mm-hmm.
than we thought they would? Like, what if
Yeah.
Florida beats FaZe or something, or Paris beats London.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that it could be even that much recency bias. So these matches, I hope they try. I hope
Yeah.
they give it their alls. We haven't seen anything. We've been starving. So It should be a
Yeah,
great weekend of Call of Duty.
I'm very
Every
interested to
team's playing.
see if like a team will show like a good S&D strat or not. I mean, it seems kind of like counterproductive to and like uncompetitive to like show your good S&D strats and like a kickoff. Like it's practically a show match, really. I mean, you could call it preseason, but really it's just show matches. But I mean, they should be hungry to win and hungry to compete. And like we'll see the teams at like
Yeah.
somewhat of their best. Maybe not their overall greatest they can play at, but at some point we'll see something. Like cuz I don't think there's any money up for grabs this weekend, right? There's no money up for grabs between any matches, you know.
No, but I think what's important is like coming out strong, like start like for teams like LAG that have just been getting
Mhm.
called trash, like getting pooped on in scrims. You look on Reddit and you see the optic scrims and you see that they went 8-0 in
Yeah.
maps against LAG. They got something to prove. So I think it's a good opportunity for teams to come out to get hot. Could you imagine if subliners somehow beat Dallas
Yeah.
like game 5, like
Ooh,
round 11, like
maybe.
crazy momentum shifter going into the season, how
Mhm.
that might work out. I think it could be a very interesting weekend deciding on how much teams decide to give into it. And I think it's interesting that you mentioned like will they give away their S&D strats? They are going to be playing without smokes and snipers, right?
Maybe. I mean, well,
Isn't that
well
the
we
most
could
recent GA? And they were working with Tony Flame for the
hmm
preset classes,
Well, that's
or
interesting. I
like,
didn't think about that enough. I should have thought about that more. But like, I feel like they would have something set before. Like, maybe they'll come out with like a full rule set, maybe like a preseason rule set before the Kickoff Classic, or maybe they could use this weekend as another way to like,
and
right.
launch league play at
Or
the
well, maybe
same
not this
time.
weekend, but I could see League Play launching with the first weekend of the CDL. Maybe like Sunday night right after the first finals, or right after the first matches. They're like, guess what? If you want to go play League Play, hit the update. Boom! Everybody gets to run League Play right after the matches. Wouldn't that be huge?
And they drop. Oh, yo, are they gonna drop the
Ooh,
CDL skins this
that'd
weekend?
be cool.
Dude, I was thinking about buying the anime
Mm.
tracer pack, but now that I'm thinking about that, I
I
gotta
don't
I gotta save up
I
for
don't want to
uh
give
for
this
some
game too
CDL
much more of
skins.
my money. I want to get like I'll get the battle pass next thing, and then I'll maybe get one CDL skin. But I don't know. Like that's the main reason I didn't buy like the tracer pack, even though those purple bullets fry. Like I want.
Yeah, dude, it literally gives you easier lobbies, makes you
Like
better at the game.
that's why I didn't buy that because I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait for the CDL skins. I wanna rock a Paris Legion skin on my AK-74U. I wanna throw it on my Florida Mutineers thing on my Krig. Feel like skies. That's the whole point, right? That's what I want to feel like.
Uh, dude, I hope they have like operators and not just
Mm.
like camos. Like, cause the operators last year were sick. I think those were
I keep
so
seeing
cool.
them talk about throwing players'
But
faces on the operators. That would be hilarious.
dude, how could you like compensate for body types? Like Zinni would just be too big. Like the hitbox
they
would be
said they would
massive.
GA the tiny tears. They said you can't play as them. They said it's like Odd Job and GoldenEye.
Oh my God. Oh, all right. Well, let's get into the matches here. Dallas Empire versus the new look New York
Mm,
Subliners, the champs versus the. I feel like we have no idea what the state of New York's
right,
mentality is right now. I'm sure that they can't be very happy about Zuma not being able to play. I
right.
don't think they're mad. I think they're still just as motivated. Clay knows what he has to do to make his team winners. So I think it should be all right. I think I think as much slang power as Dallas has, Diamond Khan,
Right.
we've seen him make some big plays. Mac, he's gonna slay, he's gonna step up now that Zuma's
Mm-hmm.
not there. Clay's just gotta do what he's gotta do with the AR, and Asim's
Pretty
just gotta
much.
hop on the hill,
Yeah.
do stuff like that. I think they have a
I
decent
agree.
team, but then on the other hand,
Right.
you have Empire.
I mean, yeah, I was
So
gonna say that. I mean, looking at Empire, like they shouldn't. Like I was listening to Hastro talk yesterday with Nameless, saying like how he was super against moving to 4v4 because he wanted to keep Clayster so much and he wanted to keep that team for a long, long time. But unfortunately, Clayster had to go, and now you're looking at a very, very strong roster who should be the. I mean, they should be everybody's favorite for winning champs again. But I mean, I want to see how this COD plays out. This weekend probably won't tell us too much because I really do think they're going to 3-0 subliners. I don't think subliners take a map. That's my
So
take.
that's your
That's my. I don't
prediction.
think subliners take a map. I mean, look at Shotzi, uh, Crib Six. Like I don't know. Like look at listen to their whole roster. Like why should they lose?
All right, all right,
Why should they lose a
all right.
map?
Bold. All right, bold prediction here. I'm going 3-2 New
Three
York.
two New York.
3-2 New York. Round
How do you have the
11.
maps going?
Clayster versus Crim
Do you have them
6.
winning
Clayster versus Crim 6.
1v1, and Clay gets the better of them?
I have I have I have I have New York coming out the gate winning the hard
Okay.
point, right? They're not going
250,
to expect
150.
it. You know,
Boom.
Shotzi and them, they're going to win the S&D. It might be
Mm.
like 6-3, 6-4, who knows. I think they're going to win the controlled too. I think it's going to be a 3-1, 3-2 controlled. Dallas is going to take it. But then I think
They won both
that
hard
New York
points.
comes back, wins the hard
Hmm.
point. Dude, I don't know. I just got a feeling. I'm going with my gut, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And then round 11, Clayster versus Crim 6, AR battle. Oh my
Well,
God,
I hope your
the crowd will
prediction's right.
go
I
wild.
hope your prediction's right because that sounds way more entertaining than my prediction. Like, yeah, that's why I think it's
Yeah.
going to be a 3-0. I don't want it to be a 3-0. That's just what I think. But I don't know, man.
Hey,
Subliners
at
was
the
a
end of the day,
nasty hard
sports
point
is
team
entertainment.
last year. They were a nasty hard point team.
Yeah. Hey, let's hope they
Let's see it.
carry that momentum. Who do you think is gonna stand out the most and surprise people the most?
I'm not sure if it counts really as surprising people, but I think Mac is going to be like head and shoulders the best player on Subliners this year. At least in terms of like what you see and what you
Yeah,
see on like on the screen, what you see on the
yeah,
stat book. I think he's gonna be one of the
yeah,
best players, and like I think he could be one of the best players in the league if he really takes a step up from last year. I just love watching him play. I just love watching like young. I love watching like young talent like that thrive, and like I really think that if he comes out, because I mean like if your prediction is gonna be right, and if they are gonna take a hard point, Mac's gonna have to go crazy. He's gonna have to slay and slay and
yeah,
slay. Not that the other players on the team
yeah. He's gonna
can.
have
It's
to
just that
step
he's the
up.
one who's gonna he's the one who's most apt for it. He's the one who's most up for it. So I think if subliners do want to start beating teams like Empire, competing against them and FaZe and Optic, like they will have to get huge MVP level performances from Mac.
Yeah, I think something that's gonna surprise everyone is I think, and from what I've seen in eights scrims, Crim 6 is the best AR player
Hmm.
in Cold War right now, and I think that's gonna shock a lot
Okay.
of people when
I
he
like that.
comes out the gate and is the best player
Best player
on
on his
his
team.
team. Shotzi and Illy are good.
Hmm.
I think Illy is I think he's gonna win the MVP. All right, I think he's gonna have the stats, he's gonna have the plays, but when you look at, and they're maybe not gonna show Crim the
Right.
whole game, right? But when you're gonna look at the stats, look at the mini map, and see what he's doing, I think Crim's just making those plays that no one else is. Because now that they don't have Clayster to make those really fundamental plays, Crim
Yeah.
really has to step up in that main AR role, and I think that is not gonna go overlooked. Well, actually, I think
Hmm.
I think it will, but then people
Yeah, and
people
I
will
mean the
realize.
biggest
People will
part
realize.
of being the main AR is being better than the other team's main AR too. And if you look at those matchup, if you think
Yeah,
about, I mean, it's hard to really think about it in a 1v1 kind of thing, but yeah, I mean, like Krim versus Clay, like Krim versus Octane, Krim versus Skies, Krim versus Formal, like
yeah,
this, those aren't like, it's not easy to beat any of those guys. Like Krim's gonna have to really like,
yeah,
I'm not even sure if I gotta step up, but I mean that for that prediction to come true, I think you're gonna have to see a lot of like a lot of circumstances to go right, and a lot of like I mean Shotzi and Illy like they're gonna play well, they're gonna play really well. Like what can Krim do around that? How can Krim make the impact to the side of that?
yeah.
How great can his impact be compared to those guys? That's what I want to see. Shotzi, Illy, and Hook. How great can Crimstick's impact really be compared to those three?
Yeah. All right. There it is. You got it. 3-0 Dallas for Nathan. 3-2 subliners
Mm-hmm.
for me. We'll see.
Now
We'll see what happens.
Now
We'll have to
we'll
revisit
talk
that
about
prediction next
a
week.
pretty different matchup. It's LAG versus Seattle Surge. The maybe a battle between two of the bottom four teams in the league, or maybe a battle between two of the middling teams. That's what we're looking at here. Maybe we don't know. We haven't seen anybody play, but I mean this will be probably one of the most close, or maybe it'll be one of the most close matches, but maybe it won't. I mean, I think Seattle will take the series. I think they'll take it 3-1, probably. That's where I'm looking at it. I think they'll take the opening hard point. Maybe take maybe go up like 2-0. first two maps, drop a control, take the hard point, and run it out. I mean, that's what I'm looking at maybe with Seattle. I think Seattle is gonna surprise some people this year because if you look at that roster on paper, see Pristini, Gunless, Octane, like they have a pretty solid roster with a lot of talent. The only question is, can they play to that full potential? Because if they play to the full potential, it's kind of wrong to compare them to some of the like bottom teams. Because if they play to their full potential, they should be gunning people.
Yeah, I think the Seattle team is one of those rosters that has a lot to prove. Pristini's playing without his brother, Octane. He's got to try to get the highest KD and respawn again. Gunless got benched last year. Looney, same deal. But I'm gonna go with the LAG on this one. All right, I wasn't too big on LAG last season. I honestly never had faith in them, but this season, you got the court, you got Assault, Apathy, Silly. You got the Zebra himself. You already know the vibes. And then you got Vivid. So you got the young buck with the three. People forget that they're 4v4 boots on the ground champs. Last time there was 4v4 boots on the ground, those were those three with Aches. But Aches already burned his bridge with LAG, I think, because he was already there. So, but I think I think Assault's gonna play fine. I think Vivid and the S&Ds is gonna play fine. He's gonna play all right and respawn. I think it really falls on how impactful Silly and Apathy can be. It's like we've seen last season. I think Silly was a pretty good player for Minnesota. He seemed to be making the right plays, running the sub when he needed to, M4 when he needed to. He could do both sides of the ball. He's already got all that. But I think it's about how many impactful plays Apathy can make because this team has kind of like a weird feeling to it. Apathy World War II was like a very different game.
He showed it.
Yeah, I mean. We saw a little bit of donk, but it wasn't enough, obviously, to make his team better. But I think this is a bit of a, I think the main matchup is like the Assault Octane matchup. That's just busy work for those two, and it's like you got Lee and Pristine might be throwing themselves at the hill doing whatever, and Gunless, you're gonna have to try to counter his slaying. So I think it's more of like a slaying battle than it is anything because you do have guys that are able to go off like Pristine. Like Pristine, people don't want to really talk about how good of a slayer he can be when he's put in that role. But we saw at times
he didn't need to be the
they
slayer.
Shifted roles. Yeah, he hasn't had an opportunity. In BO4, he just did what they needed. Second Matic, second Sog, whatever it was.
Players like that who play that second role, that third role, like the jump on the hill role. I mean, some of them get like a bad rep for being like, they don't have any gunny. That's why they're on the hill all the time. That's something you hear. But like they got to be on the hill because there's somebody on the team who has more slaying power. Or they might just be on the hill just because it's where they feel most comfortable. But they should. I like to see players step out because I don't really think Call of Duty is super strictly role heavy. Because you have your main AR, that's always been a thing. But I mean, the other three players can kind of move and work around each other and do different things at different times. It's not necessarily super set in stone. You can't really say it's positions. You got your flex guy, and you got the guy who's probably never going to touch an AR, and you got the guy who's never going to touch a SMG. But I don't really think it goes so deep into roles, or not. It definitely doesn't go into deep as roles as people really think. But that's what Seattle, I think, can be a perfect example of that. So, I mean, how do you see the map going, though?
I think it's gonna go 3-2. I think, I think LAG is gonna win these S&Ds. I think they're gonna win Game 5. I think they're gonna take either the control or one of the hard points off of them. Octane is like one of the best respawn players. He's just gonna hold shit down. So it's gonna be about how they can counter that. If we're being honest.
If you were writing the CDL script and you were scripting all these matches out, I feel like we'd have a pretty entertaining series. We'd have a pretty entertaining season.
Well,
It'd be like a television show.
I like to be optimistic, and sports are all entertainment business. Yeah. So I just hope that's how
I'd love to be entertained too. I just don't. I don't know. I can see the series going 5. That'd be really. I mean, that'd be really fun to watch because I'm probably overrating Seattle's S&D game anyways, at least compared to LAG. I mean, LAG could definitely win. Yeah. I mean, they could definitely win 2 S&Ds if they were in a best of 5 series. So that 3-2 is. I mean, it's looking pretty good. I mean, I'm gonna stick with my Seattle guys. I think they're gonna bounce back. I don't know. I don't see them being as poor as they were last year. But we can get into the next match, the last match on Saturday, the Atlanta Fays versus the Florida Mutineers, which is one of the probably the second biggest matchup for me all weekend. Obviously, it is the primetime match of the day, but that's probably the second biggest match for me for the weekend after Chicago Thieves. I mean, just look at the two teams, Fays and Florida. They were building a little bit of a I wouldn't say a rivalry, but they were seeing each other a lot in big matches and big games.
Yeah, last
So
year
I mean,
it
yeah,
was like when Florida won like a few events in that like 4 event span. I think they saw a phase like twice, and it wasn't like, and rest in peace Farrell, who played
hmm
incredible, but it wasn't even like close. Like it was literally like Florida was just they peaked. I think they peaked a
they
bit too
did,
early, but
they did.
Florida was just 3-0ing, just dominating completely. Skies was
Dude,
like untouchable, big awake,
hmm
like could not be stopped. And then Havoc and Frosty were just throwing themselves on the hill, doing the other things,
The
and
team, I mean, yeah, they were gross.
it worked out
They
perfectly
were
for
they were
them.
pretty gross last year, and they
They
look. I
were,
mean, they look different this year. It's Skies, Awakening,
yeah,
Slacked, like that team looks. The team looks different this year, but they keep. I hope they keep kind of that same heart, that same like slaying ability. I mean, I don't even really know how to best describe it, but there was something different about them compared to. I mean, there was something different about them that set them apart from Rocker and London and Toronto and Paris. Like there was just something different that set them apart from them and made them a lot of people's dark horse of champs. I mean, we saw like what they ended up placing fourth, right, or like T3, T4, something like T5. What was their official placing of champs?
oh no, they got
That's
smoked
right.
twice.
What was it? So what? But they were a higher
They
seed. But they
got
were
they
a
got
higher seed,
smoked by
right?
Ultra and then got smoked by Optic. They were the fourth
Yeah.
seed.
So they ended up. Man,
Them and Optic had like
that's how you
one
know it's been
bye,
too long.
and then Ultra went and then smoked Florida, and then OGLA smoked Florida because it was Texas Kenny,
Oh, dude,
you
Texas
know.
Kenny. I mean, I hope we see
So
some Texas Kenny this year. Is that?
um
I hope.
wait, you got me confused. All right,
Yeah.
we're talking about the
Yeah, we got we
Florida and
got too way
phase
too
though.
deep
Florida
into it, but
Florida phase. All right. Florida phase. You know, Florida is going to be playing. Are they playing with Neptune instead of Havoc for the
yeah, I'm
weekend?
pretty sure.
Is that like the
I'm
official
pretty
word?
sure.
I watched a piece by the CDL the other day. They had like a little like hype
Mm-hmm.
video thing for Florida, and that was all them just like talking about the
Mm-hmm.
season and their roster move with Slack joining the
How,
team and how they felt going into 4v4 in the new
how
game.
they're.
And they said Skies described it as Slack as that leader that they
Right.
needed, and that he said that no one else was really ready to take over for that leadership role
Mm.
last year, and he thinks that this will help them a lot. So if it can make their play better, I think we're gonna see another 3-2. Personally, I think that this is gonna go
I
all the way.
agree.
I'm gonna say 3-2. I'm not gonna say who's gonna
Mm.
win. I'm not even gonna predict a winner. I think someone's gonna win
Okay.
3-2. But that S&D is, I think it's a very
Mm-hmm.
close matchup. As good of a team as FaZe is, I think Florida just, you know, you could, it's gonna be interesting. Our cities last year, he didn't. This year, he
Right.
is demanding ours. So, Skies was arguably an
Definitely.
MVP
Definitely.
candidate. RC is arguably the best on his team, but with that role switch, how will that impact like phases play? We'll see, can Slacked and Neptune and like Awakening, can they get enough kills on Simp and Abizi
Mm-hmm.
and Cellium? I feel like the FaZe
Right.
team is really built on slaying. So it's about Florida on like how can they play smart and make the plays. And Slack, dude, people sleep on Slack. He's won every
Yep.
title since like BO3. He's won a tournament, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. He
You
gets a
know,
little
like
disrespect, but.
he knows how to win. He knows how to make good
Mm-hmm.
plays. One of my favorite players of all time. Shout out
I know.
Josiah Berry,
Yeah.
man,
He's
from
another
Missouri.
guy who fits
You
that
know,
mold that I was talking
shout
about of a
out.
player who does a lot of dirty work, and because of that, they get a little disrespected. And like I'm gonna go with this series 3-1 in FaZe's favor, but it's gonna be a very very tight 3-1. It's gonna be like a 250 to 230 hard point, a 6-5 S&D in favor of Florida, or 6-4, something close like that. 3-2 control, and then another really tight hard point, because these two teams in respawn going at it, it's gonna be so much fun to watch. Like they're two of like they're two teams that have like a ton of fireworks. Like Awakening, he makes huge plays all the times. Obviously, the Tiny Terror, like they make a lot of plays. Our cities, of course. I mean, like Celium, like just snaking around things. I want to see what he's going to be doing. I want to see where he's going to be wiggling around. I want to see I want to see his spots. I haven't watched enough FaZe so far. I haven't watched enough of scrims, and I don't think you can't get the same amount out of scrims as you can of watching a regular match, because you don't get to see everybody's perspective. You don't get to see where everybody's playing, how they're playing in unison with another one. When you're watching scrims, it's really just looking at one guy's perspective, and you really only get the good feeling of how that one person's going, and then you get a good feeling of how their comms are going. I don't really know how you get too much more out of scrims than that if you're watching it just from one player's perspective, but I'm just excited to see all the different things that FaZe are going to pull out this year, all the different things that they can do, and maybe what they need to do to get to the next level to beat Empire and win champs. It might start to see it early in the season. They might have to start playing really well early in the season, making it to finals, pushing Empire, pushing other teams, bullying every other team in the league that's not Empire or Chicago or LA Thieves. Just I want to see that. I want to see how FaZe plays. I feel like if they step out and they really, really beat Florida, a lot of people are going to be rethinking their season predictions.
I think the most fun part about this FaZe team is every player's ability to just use whatever gun. People want to talk about Simp as like an SMG, but we saw at times last year when he'd pull out the M4 and would absolutely fry.
Anything,
He could pull out an AR. Celium could literally do both. A BZ, one of the best subs, but like we'll just have to see what they use. This is the kind of team that these guys are all so good. Whatever they use becomes meta. These are the guys that, you get smoked and you're like, we got to start doing what they're doing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but, yeah.
So you predict 3-1 FaZe. I got 3-2
All right.
somebody.
Let's hop into the next day of games on Sunday, January 24th. The Royal Ravens and the Paris Legion, a little European brawl. It's going to be the first, I say European brawl, but we'll see what happens. It's London versus Paris. The league might be trying to push this London versus Paris narrative. I don't think any fans really buy it, but we'll see what happens here. Paris is both these teams have a lot of question marks around them for different reasons. London, a lot of people thought that they might be a team last year that was pushing for top threes, top fours, maybe making a few finals, and they did. They had some good flashes, switched their team around going into this year. Now they're in 4v4 up against the Paris team who didn't pick up a roster until a few weeks ago, until 2021, right? They didn't pick them up in December, right? Until 2021.
Yeah. So
we'll see what happens.
That's why I'm so excited, is because I feel like since the season ended and players announced they were like free agents, and like Paris tweeted like thank you to like literally their whole roster and coaching staff, and we're like, thanks for being a part of our team, and we've been wondering like who's gonna be on Paris. They didn't tweet since like October, and like had not said anything, and then there was the rumors of the theory is the coach and the roster with
Scraps,
Goon, Aqua,
Scraps and Fire,
like Scraps and Fire, and then and then it was Classic who ended up getting Goon's spot. They tried to CDL friendly Goon in, but he's getting top 32 in challengers. He's not quite ready for the league.
He probably doesn't. If I was making a team in the CDL, I don't think he'd be one of the first guys I was thinking about, especially with the crop of players that was out at the time. I've heard a lot about how Paris's organization, Contact Gaming, is a parent organization. They've been going through a lot of money problems. COVID obviously hit a lot of teams hard. I know there were some teams that really thrived during COVID, but it really did hit a lot of teams hard. Paris, they really only had like one person running their like Overwatch and Call of Duty League thing. They really only had one. The one person was like they were tweeting, but they were also going and like making calls to people and trying to bounce out contracts and things like that. It didn't seem like the best situation for them. But I do think when everything's said and done, they have a CDL quality roster in Aqua, Fire, Classic, and Scraps, and I think they can. I'm not saying they're going to be in the top 5 or even top 6, but they're not going to be the bottom. They're not going to be the basement. I don't think they're going to be the basement team. No way.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that this is a team that is just not talked about because like no one even knew. I personally didn't even know who Fire. I didn't follow him on Twitter or anything before. I was like, he's going to be on Paris. I thought they would go with a completely European roster, maybe like embrace like the French people and do all
hard.
that.
You need everybody in
I
America.
think like the way the off season developed just makes for such a funny storyline for this team. And then you just look at all the people on the team, and it's
Hmm.
Scraps, Classic, like Aqua and Fire 40. Like, and Aqua is apparently
Yep.
their main AR. Like, I
Let's see
don't
it.
even.
Let's see
It's
what
like, what is
happens.
this team? But there's something about it that it's like the
Yeah, so
Cinderella story. Like, I feel like they're gonna be in the finals of a major for sure this
finals
year. I just have
of a
a feeling
major.
about it. Classic's nasty. I don't know why Toronto dropped them. Dude,
I'm not
don't
saying
sleep
like
on
final, but
Paris.
the thing about this year, it's
Don't
so
sleep.
different because you gotta like really be like you gotta really be better than 10 other teams because in last year with the home series, there'd be some events where FaZe wasn't there, Empire wasn't there, Florida wasn't there, and
Paris made
they did, but there was
finals.
a different format. I just think it's gonna be so hard for teams to make finals this year if they're not already like one of the top. Like it's gonna be, I don't know. We'll
Hey,
see. We'll see how it goes. Scraps
Scraps
is
is
nasty,
nasty, bro.
and I
Like,
think Fire is
trust.
gonna surprise a hell of a
And
lot of
this is
people.
and this is why I think that they're gonna 3-0
Oh,
London.
okay, okay.
I'm calling Paris 3-0 London. They're playing Scraps' old team. The old team dropped him and his
Mm.
twin brother. His twin brother doesn't even play challengers or in the CDL. He's
Mm-hmm.
mad and he wants it more than they do. You got Alex who's gonna play well, but he's also
You
got
got
Zero,
Theory
Shawnee,
calling
and
the shots
Dylan
from the
on his team.
sidelines.
So it's like, you know,
All right, all right.
London. I just don't really think we're gonna see a lot of good stuff from London. I think Paris. I've seen a few scrims from them. The first map I saw, I think I think they were scrimming New York when they just got Hydra, and they were winning some maps. They looked
Mm-hmm.
actually pretty decent. They were slaying all right. It's like they're slaying power, but there's still the same amount of kills can be gotten by like any player. It's everybody's still there, and I think Fire is gonna be nasty. I think Scraps is gonna be nasty. Aqua's gonna hold it down. Classic's just gonna be that role player. That he's the only guy to go like 0-11 in a S&D and still win.
Okay, yeah, but
He's gonna find
I
a
mean,
way to win.
you go 0-11 in an S&D, and I don't think you found a way to win. But um, I see your point there.
Hey,
I'm a
trust.
ride. I'm a ride with my Paris team. I'm a ride with them, and I think it's gonna be closer. I think it's gonna be a push, 3-2, map 5, round 10, something like that. Paris is gonna clutch up. I can see it happening. I'm not gonna deny it. I'm gonna go with Paris too. That's my official thing. I'm gonna go with Paris in a 3-2, only because I think they are going to surprise people. Only because I haven't, and I honestly I had watched more Paris than I have watched London, so I'm mainly just going off of what I've seen. And I had watched more London scrims. Maybe I'd have a different opinion, but I'm really just gonna go with Paris here because I think they have everything to prove and nothing to lose. That's how like when you go in with a
So
mindset like that, you're gonna win maps. You're gonna win championships. Maybe Paris won't, but
I've
that's a good
seen
mindset
I've
to have.
seen a I've se- I've seen a few London scrims on like when Optics
Hmm.
streaming, but a lot of the funny thing about their scrims is I see most of them when I see like a title on YouTube like Scump like funniest scrim with Optic, and it's like a 250 like 100 point club where like Optic's not even calling out and they're literally just joking
Yeah,
the whole time, and Scump was like doing an impression of like Dylan or
that's
Shawnee, I forget
yeah.
which one it
That
was. And I was just like, I don't they're not even taking it serious, and Optics are a really good team, but I think that's just kind of I think London's going to be like definitely bottom two.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't know about bottom two. It's hard for me right now. I mean, I don't wanna write off anybody. That's the problem about this season. I can't write off any team. I mean, look at how everybody thought Surge was gonna be great last year, and they ended up being one of the worst teams. Or look at how everyone thought Optic Gaming LA last year was gonna be one of the like greatest teams. They were kind of poor. It's just hard to tell right now, and especially in online Call of Duty. Online Call of Duty. I mean, there's so many factors that can play into like there's so much bullshit that can happen. And then in the main part, there's just so much bullshit that can happen in online Call of Duty. It's hard to. That's why I mean I'm
Yeah.
glad I don't make a living off of betting that online Call of Duty is gonna go my way that day. It's really a beast, and that's what sets teams up like Paris or sets teams up like London to really overachieve or really underachieve. So we'll see how that plays out. But let's get into the next matchup real quick: the Toronto Ultra versus the Minnesota Rocker. I'm really looking forward to this. I want to hear your thoughts first.
Um I'm gonna come out the gates and just say Roker is going to 3-0
Mm.
sweep the Ultra. Ultra, honestly, so I was like scouring Reddit for information on them because I had not seen them in
They've been
any
a little
scrims, and
quiet.
I
They've
was
been pretty
really
quiet.
wondering like, had anyone seen them? And apparently in the scrims they've played, they have not
Mm.
been good. And I think Roker, I think that the current meta with, if they play like a checkmate hardpoint and on certain hills, they're gonna have three ARs out. Like, I think that just, that
I love
completely
Minnesota this year too.
trumps like anything that the Roker or anything the Ultra could do. I think that the Roker just have like a way better team, and I don't even think it's competitive of a
I
match,
agree with
honestly.
3-0. I think it'll be a little bit more competitive though. I think Ultra will push them. I just think Minnesota is going to be a very sound S&D team as well. So I don't really, and I think they're going to be a good hardpoint team. So I mean, I see them going up 2-0, and I mean, when you go up 2-0, it feels really good. And control is a game, a weird game mode that I think a lot of teams might lose based off of just like how teams can play defense so sound compared to offense. But I think it's going to be a 3-0 with Minnesota winning the hard point pretty handily, winning the S&D pretty handily, and then like a tight 3-2 control. Kind of one of those. I don't think it'll be a gentleman's
Yeah,
sweep. I think it'll be like one of those tight 3-0s. One of those 3-0s that you really think like, it was a 3-0, but we don't have to feel too bad about it if you're an ultra fan. I mean,
yeah. I think I think it will depend on the maps really how close they are because certain maps, are more like
right.
three subs. So then, Cami Bance, Kleenex will have subs out or like and
Hmm.
then Roker will kind of be in a tough position because I don't think I've seen a scrim where Lamar or Major Maniac has ever pulled
Yeah,
out a sub.
I
So it'll be
I do
interesting if they
think
get a
Major
map
Maniac
like
can.
Garrison and a team's running
Hmm.
three subs.
I
Yeah,
think Major Maniac can
but
if it came
it
down
it'll
to it.
just be map to
Like if it
map.
came down to it, he could run a sub. I
Yeah.
respect him for that.
But when there is like the three AR holds and then Priesta pulls out an AR and I mean last year he pulled out an AR and then so Celium could use the sub and
Hmm.
he was nasty. Like he was such a good third AR. So I think that the roles for the current maps and meta we have
Hmm.
just fit Roker so nicely that I think
Yeah,
that
I mean,
it'll just be a
I think they're
blowout.
just more sound. I think they're just a very sound team. Everybody on the team seems to have good relations with each other, good vibes. Everything seems to be going right for them. I mean, a lot of people were like, I feel like I saw a lot of stuff on Reddit when they first announced their roster because this was when this they were one of the like earlier teams to announce their full roster. A lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't really understand this team. How are they gonna play with each other?" Like Lamar
Yeah,
and
I
Major
mean I was
Maniac.
the
I
exact same way.
I personally
Yeah,
have been
I literally
yeah,
was texting Eli
I've been
about
a
that. I
Minnesota
was like
truther.
if the meta is well I assume that it would be like a AR
Hmm.
flex, sub. So, but I feel like we haven't really had like a certain like flex
Right.
sort of gun. There's no gun that's a
Hmm.
really
If
in
the
between
if
of
like the
an SMG and
AK-47
an
could get
AR. So,
like some some fixes to it, maybe it could be something like that. But it's just currently too strong.
yeah.
XM4, we're seeing a little bit
Yeah.
more. People are getting a little bit more mobile with the XM4.
And I don't feel
But
like I
I
don't feel
wouldn't
like
I
it's not
wouldn't pull it
fast
out
enough.
for if I was playing for $200,000.
And I feel like and on a side note, I feel like flex is like a role we try to like
Yeah.
force now because the roles used to be based on like how you're playing, like
Hmm.
anchor or like blah blah blah, and now it's like based off like
Right.
the guns.
Well,
It's like
who's
you're an
had there
AR,
hasn't really
like
been
you,
a
and then
true
in
yeah.
BO4 we had the
I mean BO2
Maddox,
it really felt like
so it was
yeah.
like
I mean yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, and then like in BO4 it was like Sog,
Hmm.
Maddox, or ICR, like ICR, Maddox,
Yeah.
Sog. Like, it's like that. And it's like, like Dashi was like a flex player. Like
Hmm.
Mans was using like the
Yeah.
Maddox. Like that's like but like the gun defined the role. And I feel like roles are just such a
Hmm.
confusing thing. Like, but like I think Minnesota will prove that like you don't need
Right.
roles to win. You just need players that
You need
know how to
players
play
who know
the
how to play the
game.
game, have good gun skill, which they do, and you need a team of guys
And good
who all love to get on the game and talk to each other. That's what you need. You need people who don't
Yeah,
beef,
Lamar is playing
people
eights
who don't beef in
daily.
comms.
Priest is playing
That's what you
all the time.
need.
Mike, Major Maniac, he be playing S&D turns attaches on the YouTube and is popping. I always before we play eights, I go to his YouTube and I look at his classes because I'm like, I
He's
don't know
good.
what to use,
Yeah,
you
like
know. So shout out,
Minnesota.
shout out.
I mean, I love Minnesota. Like, well, I agree with. I mean, we both got it. So we both got him in a 3-0. Yours is a little bit more of a blowout. I think it's gonna be
Yeah,
kind of tight. I could see Minnesota lead. I could see Ultra taking a map. Definitely though. I could see that. But I'm gonna stick with that 3-0 as well. Let's get into the final match. We're gonna talk about the granddaddy of them all, Optic Chicago versus the Los Angeles Thieves. Now to start, I was listening to Hex talk the other day about how he doesn't really believe that they can force this to be a rivalry, right? He doesn't really. He's like, oh, I don't think it's a rivalry.
yeah,
You know, like Matt and I, we have good relations. Like, but I don't. I think it's a rivalry in a different term. And
definitely a
like
rivalry.
obviously, there's no bad blood. Not every
It's
rivalry
a
has
rivalry doesn't
right.
have to
Not
mean
every
bad blood.
rivalry has
Yeah,
bad blood.
exactly. Like it's just because it doesn't mean they want to like
Yeah,
murder each other,
no
but
one's gonna get
like
shoved.
Nate shot like and it returning to the league, like that LA Thieves like slasher
What?
needing to prove himself,
Mm-hmm.
like Optic, like they're just trampling over people in scrims, like it's gonna be one of those matchups that it's like it's there's nothing really going on the record, but it feels
Right.
like there's more at
Nameless called
stake.
it a brotherly rivalry, which I like because at the end of the day, they respect
Yeah,
each other and love each other, but they're gonna go at it and they want to be better than each other. And LA Thieves, like
yeah,
everybody's been saying, like, oh, they're the fourth team. They're the team right after, and they put a lot of people put Empire, Chicago, and FaZe in their own tier, and then right below that they put LA Thieves and sometimes Florida, but mainly just LA Thieves in their own tier, and then they jump down to the rest of the teams, which I mean, LA Thieves, like they're pretty solid. Like I just want to see him. I just want to see him play so bad. I just want to see him play. That's all. Like that's why it's hard for me to even predict this. But I am gonna go with 3-1 in favor of Optic Chicago. I think they're gonna win the hard point. I think they're gonna win both hard points. Maybe drop the S&D. But like I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to predict this match. It's hard to predict these like these preseason matches. Like, well, I hope that, and another reason I hope this is really competitive is that I want to take things away from the games to really think about how the teams are going to be in the grand scheme of things. But I think Optic takes this 3-1. What do you think?
so I think you know I was looking at a Reddit post last night, and it was like cliches in the
Mm-hmm.
COD League, and someone commented first event
Hmm.
Optic 3-0 sweep,
Hmm.
easy clap, easy
They come out
money. All
swinging
right,
too.
and think about it, 100 Thieves, right? Beginning of BO4, you know, they weren't good at all. They got to start down bad, and then by the end of the season, Slasher and them will
Okay.
work it out, get it together. Kenny will figure out the game. It'll be all good. I don't think they're bad. I just think Optics are really good right now. I think Optics probably the best team right
Hmm.
now from what we've been seeing lately. Like Empire is good, but I think Scump is way better than
Definitely.
people give
I
him
mean, towards
credit
the
for
end of
still.
NW, he was
I
starting
think
to like really, really heat up. It was looking scary for the other
yeah,
teams.
and Dashy's obviously not putting up BO4 numbers like his standard, but he's still putting up good numbers. Formal is just gonna be the main AR, and just it'll be him versus Slasher. But I think Formal's got it down now that he's playing on
Yeah.
240 hertz or whatever. He switched everything. He's got the XM4 now. I think he's gonna win that battle. I think it's in the S&D and may go
Mm-hmm.
round 11, but Envoy still wins that against TJ.
Nah, I don't
I don't
know.
I don't I don't think it
Hopefully
matters
not for my
much.
boy
I
TJ.
just that I think Optics really good, and I think people don't give Scump enough credit for like how good he actually is, just because he's
Mm-hmm.
not like a
And
young player.
you know,
People want to talk about like
any
Sympathy,
yeah,
Envoy, Shotzi, but Scump is
anytime you're the
literally
best
up
player in
there.
the game or like top 2, top 3 for a long time and then you're like, what, top 10, top 15, you say like people immediately think like, "Oh, he fell off, so he's just not good anymore." But no, he's not as good compared to
He did
everybody
cost the
else
War II
again,
champ,
like
so
that's what people need to realize is
yeah,
that like Scump's not going I mean if when Scump retires, it's not going to be because he doesn't have the gunny anymore. It's going to be because he wants to do something else. It's not going to be because he can't compete anymore. It's not going to be because he isn't that guy
yeah,
anymore. It's going to be because he wants to, relax and make content or something like that. But I mean, if look at at this Optic roster, I could definitely see how it could go 3-0 in their favor. I could definitely see him come out, win the hard point 250 to like 120, go out, win the S&D, and just sweep the control. Screw it. Just win the control like that. I mean, why not? Why not? Why not show that dominance? If they show that level of dominance, like things are gonna blow up. It's gonna be everybody on Reddit's gonna be like Optic number one, Optic number one. Nobody's gonna beat these guys. Wait till they play Empire. Wait till they play them. And like, I think FaZe is gonna get a little scared if Dallas Empire decide to put Chicago right in their group right at the beginning. Imagine seeing Optic get put into your group and then watching them dismantle Thieves. You're gonna get a little nervous. So we'll see it. We'll see what goes on there. We'll see what goes on.
And who do you think is going to be the best in the series? Because I personally think Envoy is going to come out here with his
Yeah.
MVP case, like I am the best player, because he is just
Okay,
disgusting.
I like that. I mean, I might say that, but I'm gonna go with a little wild card here. I'm gonna go with Dashy. I'm gonna go with Dashy, showing us that he's the guy. He is the guy. Last year was a fluke. Last year's problems had nothing to do with his skill. Last year's problems had nothing to do with his overall game. He's gonna come out and he's gonna be the guy who really annoys FaZe. Because if you think about it, look, you're gonna have, or not FaZe. I'm sorry, Thieves. You're gonna have the man AR battle. That's gonna be its thing. You're gonna have the subs against Envoy and Scump. Then you're gonna have Dashy running around just making the plays. Dashy running around doing whatever he needs to do to make the plays, win him the series. I mean, I think he's the kind of guy who could, like, if he steps up and he plays better, and if he's the best player if he's playing the best on the team, that means that Optic probably isn't losing many maps. That's how I feel. I think if he steps up,
Yeah.
why should Optic lose if Dashy's playing at the top of his game? Because Envoy's gonna be playing well, Scump's gonna be playing well, Formal's gonna be playing well. They're all consistent. Dashy's just gonna, if Dashy's a consistent player, I don't even really know how the narrative's been built so big that Dashy isn't a very consistent player, because he is. Well, we'll see what happens. I think he's a catalyst though.
You know, it's as a hopeful Optic fan, do you think that we could be seeing the start of a new dynasty
I wouldn't go
here?
that far. Look at some of these teams, man. Look at some of these
Ooh, well,
teams. A
think
dynasty
about it.
over
Think about it.
Empire, a
All right,
dynasty
no,
over
this is
FaZe.
something I want to talk about. Listen. Optic did like the rating, the old pros video, right?
Yeah,
Or ranking the pros tier list. And I think that we hold players that played in older titles to way higher of
yeah,
a standard than we
definitely.
do. Like we automatically think that like players in older titles were better than new players, even if new players are more decorated than like Big Timer, for example. People will like put him in there all the time, like over so many people who are more decorated and have had way more
Hmm.
better titles than him, like more. And it's like, I think if you look at like the formal Scump Crim Karma team, like Envoy and Dashi are both pretty nasty, and Envoy is about the same level that like Crim or Karma
Yeah.
was in like
Hmm.
BO3. You know what I'm saying? And like like it's very reminiscent of like that team, just the slaying
Okay.
ability and what these
I mean,
guys are all
hey,
able
like
to
if
do.
you,
You know?
I'm all for dynasties. I love dynasties. I love dynasties. It's some of my favorite thing to watch in sports. But
I
I don't
think
know,
I
man.
think we need it. I think we need it.
Look at these teams. I mean, look at these teams. Like, how could I mean, if any, I don't think anyone can be a dynasty anymore. It's so hard now. Like, I mean, what would you describe a dynasty as? Like, win most home series and then win champs? Are you trying to say like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, just like going streak, like best team of Cold
mm,
War, undisputed type
okay,
type
like
stuff.
I can see that. I just feel like it's good. I feel like the standings and everything's gonna kind of play out like how it did last year. Next week we'll have our,
Yeah, I
you know,
mean, and with the current
mm,
format, there's not as many
yeah,
like
and
titles or
yeah,
championships wins, so it's like
and next
harder
year,
to
I mean, our
achieve
next
that
week
now.
we'll go into like our deep dive into our preview for the entire season, or maybe the week after that. We'll kind of maybe we'll split it into two parts. We got 2 weeks until we're gonna have kind of like 2 weeks with no COD. So we'll figure something out. But we'll go deep into that. We'll go deeper into everything. Best of luck to this weekend to all the teams playing. We're super excited to watch. You got any closing thoughts, Alex?
Um, I just wanted to say, I'm very thankful that during this tough time, that we last year and this year are still able to get, my personal favorite thing to watch. I'm glad that we're blessed enough to see that and that all the players are healthy.
Hmm.
Rest in peace, fair, but all the other players, they're healthy, safe. I'm just glad, and I think it should be a great weekend. And I hope that people on Reddit don't complain too much about things and just be
I agree.
grateful.
Let's all be grateful. We got caught on this weekend. Don't get too mad about the broadcast. Don't get too mad about anything. Let's just watch some good COD. Let's all sit back and enjoy it. It's been a long time. Thank you, everybody. Catch you later.